So I just finished watching the Arsenal versus Chelsea game, and even though I am a certified Arsenal hater, I want to go and give some of my thoughts on this game and also where Arsenal's going to progress, and specifically looking at their Champions League tie. So even though all that being said, I don't like Arsenal, so on and so forth, based on this game and the things surrounding Arsenal, I don't think it's looking good. Ultimately, you go and you look at the game, you'll go and you say they got a 1-0 victory. They kept a clean sheet against a pretty decent opponent in Chelsea. But again, for me, it's the underlying things. You look at the possession, okay, Arsenal's, at least last year, was meant to be a possession team, and that's where they dominated. That Arteta sort of had his way, so on and so forth. And at home against a very young Chelsea side, an inexperienced Chelsea side, and a Chelsea side who you have a better squad overall than, is outpossessing you, and by pretty, 60-40 is it's not small. And on top of that, you're just not creating enough chances. 0.77 xG. Your goal comes from, again, another corner, so on and so forth. Like, of course, I know Arsenal have injuries, so on and so forth, but it's just even the fact that they're not generating nearly enough chances in a game like this. Obviously, going forward, and you think that Champions League tie against Real Madrid's coming in a month or so less, and then you look at their injury list, I just don't see how they go through. And this is, I would have said, like, that tie against Real Madrid, on the balance of play, I probably actually would have argued that Arsenal were probably the better team overall, in terms of play. And if it wasn't Madrid, I'd probably say that they're favorites to go through. But even now, just in terms of play, like, I look at their matchups, yes, they're very solid defensively. They can sort of stifle you defensively. They won't give you too many chances, so on and so forth. But it's going forwards. There's just nothing really to go there to really give you a sense that, okay, yeah, they can go and do a job. Especially if you think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure which game is first or which game is afterwards. Yeah, so you think that looking at their matchup against Real Madrid over the two legs, your first leg is at home and your second leg is away. Unless they do, I think for me, unless they win that first leg outright, if they go to the Bernabeu and let's say it's even just a 1-0 lead, if it's a draw in that first game, I think it's done. I don't see them going away to the Bernabeu and getting a result. Not this Arsenal team, at least. And you go and you think that most of their key players, you've got Saka, Gabriel, Kai Havertz, some of their main attacking threat are all injured. Saka's out until early April. Do you force them for that game? Maybe you do. I guess maybe on the balance of things, you go and you say, because realistically, the Champions League is the only competition that Arsenal can still play in. But do you force him in? Expected to be returned in early April. The games are, if I'm not mistaken, April 8th and the 16th. Maybe for the second leg you have him, but do you force him in? Do you play that risk? And especially given that it was a hamstring injury, that's an injury that you can easily go and relapse on. Same thing with Gabriel Jesus. Well, he's out for the season, so at least you're pretty straight on him. And same thing with Kai Havertz as well. Coming back later, I heard his season's done. And then, like, the team on the balance is fine. It's just that there's no attacking threat. And again, this is me being objective. I'm not, here just to hate on Arsenal, but several people have said it. This idea of Arteta's to not go out and to get, a proper midfielder, proper striker, pardon me, I think is really now starting to bite him in the butt. And you go and you look at some of the strikers that were available out there on the market and who's gone and so on and so forth. Like, Osimhen over the summer, obviously, you've got people like that. 𝙎𝙬𝙧, who's still at Sporting. Even you see it, even Asensio, I feel like could have probably been better in this position, right? Gabriel, okay, some of their players got injured later on, but you go and you see that PSG sent out Asensio on loan, and you see what he's been doing. Even on Rashford, he's gone on loan, and look at what he's doing. Like, I think that's the difference. And okay, sure, you want to stick to your philosophy. You don't need a 9. It was working with Kai Havertz and so on and so forth. But first and foremost, towards the end there, Kai Havertz was, struggling a bit. But not only that, but then now he's out and you don't really have much, and Saka's out. And of course, obviously, there's mitigating circumstances with that. They've got injuries. But when you're having to go and you play a Mikel Moreno as your number 9, who he normally is like an 8, a box-to-box midfielder, not even an attacking midfielder. You can say, oh, he's a 10, he can play a false 9. No, this guy, for most of his career, has been a deeper or a box to box midfielder, and you have to like almost play jigsaw and like handyman play with this, I think just is absolutely shows. I think it's just ineptitude on the part of whoever this recruitment team at Arsenal is. And like if you go like this with a squad like this at the Bernabeu, knowing that Madrid themselves, although not like some defensive, you know, are some defensive, they don't give you a defensive masterclass necessarily, but if they need to hunker down, they can do so. And you think that, yes, of course, Arsenal, they don't give up too many opportunities. If you go and you look at this game, Chelsea with, you know, pretty good attack, don't give up, only gave up 8 shots and 2 shots on target. Yes, but the thing is though, they have got a far better attack. If you look and you compare today, Sancho and Nkunku and Neto, who, you know, in fairness, you know, are great players and whatnot, don't compare to a Vinny, Bellingham, Rodrigo, and Mbappe. So with those players, we saw like going back to that Atleti game, because I feel like, and maybe the comparison is crazy, but I feel like almost the way Arsenal's playing currently is almost sort of like how Atleti play, in the sense that they're very astute defensively. They can do a clinic defensively. They won't give you many opportunities. They'll stifle you. They'll be very strong and impactful on the duel. But then going forwards is where it's lacking. And even then, at least Atleti this time around, they got Julian Alvarez, they got 𝙀𝙀𝙖𝙞𝘾𝙖𝙎, Griezmann, people who can create something sort of out of nothing and get you that one goal, create you that one chance. Whereas here, again, you go and you see that goal that Mikel Merino scores, a corner, flick. Okay, yeah, sure, of course, maybe in a Prem game it gets you the job done. But in the Champions League over double leg, when you've got on the other side people like Vinny, Mbappe, Rodrigo, you're not keeping them off the score sheet. And if you on the other side are not able to go and score goals, I think it's going to be extremely difficult for Arsenal on the actual balance of play to go and win. On top of the voodoo Madrid, you know, this type of, you know, sorcery stuff. For me, this tie's done. I would have said, even with Madrid, how they've not been playing, I probably said they were like slight favorites, like a 55-45. But now low key, it's like 65-35 for me. I just really do not see how Arsenal go through. And for me, yeah, clearly Madrid going are favorites going in. They've got the experience to go and do so. The one knock that you made me see on Madrid is that they're still in every single competition. So unlike Arsenal, Madrid is still in the Copa del Rey, they're still in the Liga, and they've also still got the Champions League to play for. Whereas Arsenal, they're out of the FA Cup. Realistically, if you look on them, the league's done. They're 12 points behind Liverpool. That's 4 games to make up. And how many games? So if you want, I guess you could say that Arsenal are hedging their bets on the Champions League. But yeah, I just find it interesting just how the tactics of Arsenal have shifted so much. And obviously, again, as I said previously, a lot of this has to do with injuries. But again, like if you lose a couple players, obviously star players, so on and so forth, that are integral to your team, and all of a sudden you're playing completely different. Like for me, the fact that Arsenal in their own stadium, like got outpossessed, and this is both halves. In both halves, clearly in the second half, even worse. Now you'll say obviously that, you know, oh, they have they scored early or relatively early on in the 20th minute, and so it's like it doesn't really matter. But for me to get outpossessed like that at home, given how they were playing last year, and they were outpossessing City at times, to go to this, default to this, I don't know. I think it shows a lot of cause for concern. If I was an Arsenal fan, at least, I'd be a bit concerned about this. But that's me. That's my opinion. If you disagree, you can disagree. I'd be curious to know what you guys thought, first and foremost, about the game, but also more so, what do you guys think Arsenal's chances are of going on and progressing and beating Real Madrid? Because in my eyes, and this is me speaking objectively, like rationally, I think they're very slim on the balance of how they've been playing recently, and also based on their injuries. Saka's out, Havertz is out, Gabriel's out, some of your 3 main attacking threats. And on top of that, like I think during the game, somebody mentioned that all of Arsenal's like top scorers this season, if I go in terms of stats, yeah, no player for Arsenal this season has more than 10 goals. No player has more than 10 goals. Kai Havertz is their top scorer with 9 goals. So with all that in contention, I just think it's very difficult that Arsenal go on and beat Real Madrid over 2 legs, especially knowing that the second leg is in Madrid. But that's me. What's your opinion on it? Let me know if you guys like this video, and if you guys want to see me talk about more teams other than PSG and Tottenham mostly, and I'd be more than happy to do so. Anyways, with that, thank you very much. And remember, stay safe, stay kind, and stay blessed. Godspeed.